What does police think of security? This is SO, Security Officer Chris, 199. Haven't made one of these videos like in a long time, so I figured, you know what? Maybe it should be time to go back to making training videos for security guards and security officers and rover guards and courtesy patrol guards and just regular security guards, unarmed. So that's my field. So for PD, it's been, in my experience, for the most part, it's actually been very positive working with PD. I've done a couple of jobs like in this one, behavioral health, or I work in a sanitarium. You have worked with PD at two other jobs. One was an ER as an unarmed security officer, and also the same thing at a huge hospital that I worked at. Same thing, it was behavioral health. So there was only one instance that I can think of in probably the entire time I've been in security in the last 4.5 years that it's been somewhat bad, but it's just because the woman was getting like snarky with me. I worked for this company at the time, and this is like the only bad experience, sort of. It's not even that bad. I worked for this company called Bolt, and for Bolt Security Services, they didn't tell us how we were supposed to speak to PD. So, and there was a break-in where supposedly, from the description that I got, it was like 5 or 6 teenagers that were in like ski masks that broke into a middle school. And so this was back when I was a rover guard, just going around like checking school every half hour, of a mix of middle schools and elementary schools. And so I was told by my supervisor, who was actually 30 minutes away, because I was waiting for backup. So I went and called the non-emergency phone number. And when I did, 3 officers, 3 PD came out, all females that came out to assess the school. And when one of the officers was near, when she was driving towards the school, because they probably got there within 10 minutes, but 5 minutes in, one of them called me and said, like, "Are you the one that called the non-emergency number?" And I said, "Yes." And I referred to myself as an officer because that's how I did things, like working here. So, here and in a different one in the past. So, like, it was one of those jobs where you had to have the security officer, like, you had to actually have like those emblems on them with the American flag above it. So, so I was just, in, I don't know, like the character or whatever. When I was on duty, I just said, "Yes, this is Officer Chris, and here's the situation. There was a break-in about a half hour prior from when I was told by the janitor, and when I was going off, she said, "Okay, well, this is Officer," and then said her name, like she was like kind of being snarky about it. And then when they got there and I tried to explain the situation to them, they like didn't listen to me, and they kind of just went into the school and started walking around. And then while me and I ended up getting backup, my partner at the time, he had to disband from the other part of the zip code, because we were doing 2 different school districts. So he got over there in about 15 minutes, but that's pretty much what happened. They just looked around. They walked around for like 10 minutes. They took down my information, the information of the janitor who saw the break-in happen. And that was pretty much it. And she pretty much didn't really want to like discuss anything with me or talk to me about anything. I have no experience doing things like this. So I don't know. That was like the only time that was like semi-negative. Because I've genuinely believed that my life was saved when I was on a riot in the adolescent ward. And this was, I think, 4 years ago now, because it's, 2025. A whole battalion of police officers came in while a riot was taking place that I was in, with 2 of my partners, who were the 2 security officers that actually trained me in this field back when I was actually working at this job at the mental asylum. And what happened was that one of the girls that was down, screaming her head off as we were holding her down, waiting for the nurse to administer the chemical restraint. But at that point, so many restraints I believe it was the entire ward. So what, 12? It was, yeah, all 12 were arrested that night, and PD came in, and I genuinely believe that they saved my life and my partner's lives and also the lives of the other people there. Because within probably the first 5 minutes of the code, the chief nurse and also his secretary were both wheeled out on gurneys by the time this was over with, both with concussions. So mass arrest, pretty much arrested all of the kids, all the teenagers. So, but I remember specifically that one of the girls, when it was, she was led up by the arms of two of the police officers. She used their leverage and she only had to been like, maybe like 5'1" or something like that, like maybe 100 pounds less. But she used the momentum as leverage, pushed herself up, and she booted this police officer right in his jaw, like both feet. He grabs her and slams her on the ground. So if PD hadn't come, it was probably going to get even more ugly. But that's definitely something where I know that PD is always available, that I can just, I can just give a call on the radio here up to intake, call PD, call them now. We are in a, it's basically the essential of a code black. I mean, technically it's a code gray, but if there's multiple patients to the point where the ward completely loses control, and after they've already called backup and it still doesn't work, because it's happened at this job 3 times, at least when I've been here, where there's been riots on the teen units. So, other than that, with PD, with different things, there was actually 3 separate times also. It was 2 or 3 times where they were very, very polite and nice when they were coming over to arrest one of the patients, either teen or adult, or taking one of the pediatric patients for a transfer, or even transferring one of the adults, whatever the situation was. The PD was very polite and nice, and they will always work with us. The thing is, you just got to step back. Like when PD, like even when I'm doing the exteriors outside, like doing the rover position, when you get in the security vehicle and you just do patrols and just drive around to make sure no one's on the property. Even then, usually PD comes within probably less than 5 minutes when we need, we're calling out for whoever broke into the building that has a weapon, has a bat, a gun, has a machete, which has happened I don't know how many times on this particular property. And PD comes and arrests them very quickly. So it's sometimes they haven't come, but it's very, very rare that happens. It's incredibly rare for something to where we're calling for an emergency and no one shows up. I remember that something like that happened once in the last 4.5 years I've been doing this, but usually they come within 5 minutes. It's really quick. But the couple of times, I think it was 2 separate times when I was just doing my job on patrols or doing a standby. I'll just end it with this. There was one call for the pediatric unit. I mean, it's pretty sad. I was doing standby in the waiting room with 2 police officers. They were waiting for some forensics person to come in or whatever, because one of the pediatric patients had sexually assaulted his roommates, his bunkie. So it's a kid sexually assaulted another kid. So I was on standby for that, and what was going on as we were waiting for the forensics person to come in for, I don't even know what the reason was. I think it was a sheriff. He was asking me, hey, you should really consider joining the police force. We could really use you. I've been asked, multiple partners I've had have been asked to come join PD. But yeah, it's just something that just wasn't really for me. I mean, I tried, but yeah, I didn't make it past. So, I mean, it's whatever. I really don't care. I mean, I love being security. I love being a security officer. But anyways, just make sure to keep your head down. Don't get in their way. When it comes to PD, for them doing their, reports and whatnot, don't talk over them. Don't try to interject. Just give them the notes that you wrote down, because, I mean, I got it right here. if you're in security, it doesn't matter what security you're in, you always have to make sure that you have like a notepad. I mean, I got this and I got a pen on me. For the notes for PD, even if they need timestamps, like if they're going to get a subpoena to get timestamps for like specific assaults or whatnot, which I've done, I don't know how many times, like you got to really, it's really, really beneficial if you know how to fill out an incident report and you take down the notes and you give the police your notes if they ask for it. But just try to stay out of the way. Don't try to be a police officer yourself. Like, just let them do their job. We do our job. And it's like a really good, partnership kind of thing. So I would say 99% of the time working with police has been a great experience. And even like what I just said, when one of them like saved my life, like a whole platoon of police showed up that night to make like 12 arrests. And yeah, if they didn't come, I think I could have been severely injured or killed. So yeah, but yeah, thank you guys for watching. Once again, this is Officer Chris, or Security Officer Chris, SO 199. And this is completely unfiltered training for anyone looking to get into security.